Good evening, welcome to South Asia Newsline. I am Vishakha Ratan. Here are the top stories we are tracking for you on Friday, the 27th of April. Indian Prime Minister holds talks with Chinese President in Wuhan to boost bilateral ties. Two policemen, one civilian injured in terror attack in India's Jammu and Kashmir. And Taliban's spring offensive, a war propaganda, says Afghan Defence Ministry. And now for all the details. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Friday held talks with Chinese President Xi Jinping during an informal summit in China's Wuhan city. Prime Minister Modi has sought to review ties with China after disputes over issues including their disputed border with Tibet and other issues. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi held talks with Chinese President Xi Jinping on Friday, the first of an ice-breaking visit to China in which the giant neighbors will seek to reset a troubled relationship. The two leaders held wide-ranging talks on areas of mutual interest to set a course for the development of bilateral ties between the two nations. The last meeting between the two leaders had taken place last September after the 9th BRICS summit in China. Earlier in the day, Prime Minister Modi and President Jinping watched a traditional musical and dance performance at the famous Hubei Provincial Museum in Wuhan city. Both the leaders later also took a tour of the museum. Prime Minister Modi has sought to reset ties after disputes over issues including their disputed border with Tibet and other issues. On Saturday, the two leaders are due to take a walk around their guest house and then an hour-long boat trip in formal settings, mostly without aids that both sides are hoping will lead to frank discussions. Two policemen and a civilian were injured after militants hurled a grenade at a police station in Kulgam town of India's Jammu and Kashmir province on Thursday. No terror group has claimed responsibility for the attack so far.
Two policemen and a civilian were injured after militants hurled a grenade at a police station in Kulgam town of India's Jammu and Kashmir province on Thursday. The injured were shifted to a hospital for treatment immediately, police said. While one police officer out of the three injured was critical till the last report came in, the other two are stable.
पुलिस स्टेशन कुलगाम है हमारा, उस पे एक ग्रेनेड लॉक हुआ है जिसमें दो हमारे पुलिस वाले जख्मी हुए हैं, एक सिविलियन जख्मी हुआ है। तो उस पे एक पुलिस वाला और एक सिविलियन जो है वो ठीक है, उनका कुछ ज़्यादा क्रिटिकल नहीं है सिस्टम में। एक लड़का हमारा क्रिटिकल है, he has been referred to Srinagar hospital.
Militants have been regularly attacking police stations and army camps this year in India's Jammu and Kashmir province. India blames Pakistan for these regular attacks and for training and assisting armed militants to infiltrate its borders and spread unrest in the Kashmir Valley. Pakistan denies the allegations.
In news from Pakistan, reacting to a Pakistani court's ruling to disqualify Foreign Minister Khwaja Asif from Parliament for Life, PML-N party leader Maryam Nawaz termed the decision as fixed match on Thursday. The verdict by the Islamabad High Court came as a blow to the ruling party ahead of a general election due in a few months. Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz or PML-N party leader Maryam Nawaz on Thursday termed the disqualification of Foreign Minister Khwaja Asif as fixed match. Whoever you are certain you cannot defeat in a fair match, you get them disqualified through a fixed match. Maryam wrote on Twitter shortly after the Islamabad High Court announced its verdict against Asif on Thursday. The High Court disqualified Asif from Parliament for life for not mentioning his foreign employment in his nomination papers. The petition against Asif was filed by Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf party leader Usman Dar, who lost the general election to Asif in 2013. The verdict is one of several judicial setbacks for the ruling PML-N party since the Supreme Court removed founder Nawaz Sharif as Prime Minister in July.
सियालकोट की आवाम को मुबारकबाद पेश करता हूं। सियालकोट की आवाम को 32 साल के बाद इस गॉड फादर ख्वाजा आसिफ से निजात दिलाई है।
Asif, a close ally of Sharif, is one of the most high-profile PML-N figures in government and was among names tipped to replace Sharif when the three-time Prime Minister was disqualified by the Supreme Court over undeclared income. Moving on, load shedding and the increase in the price of electricity has been a major problem for residents in Pakistan-administered Kashmir. It has now triggered unrest as residents in the illegally occupied region claim authorities are not doing much to solve the problem.
Prolonged load shedding in Pakistan-administered Kashmir is creating unrest among residents of the illegally occupied region. People in the region blame the authorities for not doing much to solve the problem in spite of having abundant water resources to generate sufficient hydroelectricity. Unscheduled and long hours of load shedding have hit the businesses and studies of children.
यहाँ पर स्टूडेंट को बहुत समस्या का सामना करना पड़ता है। बिजली 6 से 8 घंटे लोड शेडिंग होती है। अभी पिछले हफ्ते के दौरान हफ्ते इतवार के दिन पूरे दिन बिजली का कोई पता ही नहीं। यहाँ पर हमारे हुक्मरान सियासतदान बहुत झूठे दावे करते हैं।
Residents allege that it is a part of Pakistan's agenda to keep the region underdeveloped. Pakistan-administered Kashmir was illegally occupied by Pakistan more than 6 decades ago, and the establishment has failed to develop the infrastructure of the region.
In news from Afghanistan, Afghanistan's Defence Ministry has declared that Taliban's announcement of its spring offensive is a war propaganda. The ministry, reacting to the terror group's announcement, said Afghan security forces are fully ready to foil so-called offensives. Afghan Ministry of Defence or MOD has declared terror group Taliban's announcement of its spring offensive a war propaganda, saying that Afghan security forces are fully ready to deal devastating blow to the militants and foil their so-called offensive. Reacting to the announcement, Afghan army officials said the terror group has coordinated their attacks in 20 provinces, but sustained major setbacks on all fronts and have suffered heavy casualties so far. The group said their campaign is a response to a more aggressive US military strategy adopted last year, which aims to force the militants into peace talks.
بیشتر از 20 ولایت اینا عملیات‌های خود سازماندهی کردند در تمام النقاط به شکست مواجه شدند تلفات دیدند.
Meanwhile, the acting US Secretary of State John Sullivan in a statement said Taliban's announcement underscored their responsibility for the insecurity that destroys the lives of thousands of Afghans each year. Afghan President Ashraf Ghani early this year called on the Taliban to denounce violence and enter into purposeful peace negotiations with the government, but the group has not given any response to his offer yet. More on news from Afghanistan. The Independent Election Commission of Afghanistan on Thursday said more than 500,000 people have registered since the start of voter registration process on April 14. This is still the less number of people as the deadly suicide bombings in the country have raised security concerns for those willing to register for the upcoming polls, which are scheduled to be held in October. The Independent Election Commission of Afghanistan or IEC on Thursday said that more than 500,000 people have registered since the start of voter registration process on April 14. According to officials from the commission, despite a low women turnout, 60,000 to 70,000 people registered daily across the country. The IEC statistics indicate that turnout in the south and southeast regions of Afghanistan has been mostly low among others.
بدبختانه که در ولایت‌های جنوب و جنوب شرق و در اینجا هم اشتراک خانم‌ها کم است و هم از مردان.
Meanwhile, well-known athletes who registered on Thursday called on government to ensure the safety of voter registration centres so that people can participate in the process without any concern. The turnout has been low as civilians are concerned over the security situation after attack on registration centres took place. The country is scheduled to hold parliamentary and district council polls on October 20. Moving on to news from Nepal, 3 years since an earthquake measuring 7.9 Richter scale struck Nepal, the Himalayan nation is still trying to rebuild its ancient monuments and other infrastructure. Heritage sites are towards a slow restoration due to less foreign aid. 3 years since the earthquake measuring 7.9 Richter scale struck Nepal on 25th April, the Himalayan nation is still trying to rebuild its infrastructure. The National Reconstruction Authority or NRA formed after the calamity with a mandate to complete reconstruction work within 5 years has been hamstrung by a number of problems including getting back foreign aid. Many historic buildings have been restored, of which the work should be acknowledged. It is also as crucial to recognize that a great deal remains to be done.
अब हाम्रो चाहिँ पुनर्निर्माण सम्बन्धी कामहरू पनि भइरहेको छ। गत वैशाख 12 गते 2072 सालमा गएको भूकम्पले यो काठमाडौँलाई चाहिँ जुन यो पुरातात्विक सम्पदाहरू छ हैन त्यसलाई चाहिँ धेरै नै असर पुर्याएको थियो। त्यसपछि विभिन्न बाहिरी निकायहरू अन्तर्राष्ट्रिय निकायहरूबाट धेरै नै सहयोग आइरहेको गरिरहेको थियो। अहिले पनि भइरहेको छ। बसन्तपुर, भक्तपुर अनि यो मेन ठाउँहरू छ हैन।
Along with India, European and American countries and the SAARC have pledged for the reconstruction of the heritage sites, which have increased hopes of the restoration and preservation of the Nepali history. India, being a close neighbor to Nepal, had allocated grant of $50 million for the reconstruction of the heritage sites of Nepal. Hockey Academy of India's northern Jammu and Kashmir province recently organized a hockey tournament for girls of the province. It was almost after 2 decades that such an initiative was taken by the Kashmir Hockey Academy.
After 2 decades, a hockey tournament was organized for girls in India's northern Jammu and Kashmir province. Several hockey teams participated in this tournament that took place in Srinagar, the summer capital of the province. The tournament was organized by Kashmir Hockey Academy for revival of women's hockey in Kashmir.
हम बहुत थैंकफुल हैं काउंसिल के कि उन्होंने आज पहली बार वुमेन्स का टूर्नामेंट यहाँ पे किया। आज पहली बार ऐसा हो रहा है कि यहाँ पे वुमेन्स का टूर्नामेंट हो रहा है। हम बहुत शुक्रगुजार हैं काउंसिल के। हम तो बहुत इंटरेस्टेड थे इस गेम में। मैं ऑलरेडी नेशनल प्लेयर्स भी रह चुकी हूँ इसमें हॉकी में, बट हमें यहाँ पे सपोर्ट की ज़रूरत है। अब हमें सपोर्ट ही नहीं करते थे, इसलिए वरना हम बहुत इंटरेस्टेड है इस गेम में, तो हमें थोड़ी सी सपोर्ट की ज़रूरत है।
तो हमने ये चाहा कि पहले हमने इसीलिए स्मॉल एरिया गेम्स उठाई है कि ताकि हमें इनको थोड़ा फेमिलियर बनाए इस गेम के साथ, ताकि इसको अच्छी तरह खेल सके। क्योंकि अगर एक छोटे एरिया में खेलेंगी तो फिर आगे जाके बड़े एरिया में भी अच्छी तरह से खेल सकती हैं।
Girls of the province are keen to learn about hockey, but due to unavailability of infrastructure, they face difficulties. After the recent initiative, many girls now hope to make career in this game.
A retired professor in India's southern Coimbatore city has invented a lift using a compressor. The lift can move up to 2 floors, carrying weight up to 440 pounds. A retired professor in India's southern Coimbatore city has invested a homemade lift using a compressor which can move up to 2 floors, carrying 440 pounds of weight. The main highlight of this lift is that it can even work when there is no electricity. The machine has been designed to work as long as air pressure in the compressor is there.
பொதுவாக இந்த யூனிவர்சல் பூரா இருக்கிறது வந்து ரோப் டெக்னிக் தான். ரோப்பும் புள்ளி வச்சு தான் லிஃப்ட் செய்கிறாங்க. நாம தான் வந்து நம்மகிட்ட கம்ப்ரஸர் இருக்குதுன்றதால அந்த கம்ப்ரஸர் ஏரை யூஸ் படுத்தி அதை லிஃப்ட் பண்ணுறதுக்கு உபயோகப்படுத்தணும். இது என்னென்னா ஒரு ஈஸியானது, நம்மகிட்ட இருக்குது டக்குன்னு இருக்குது செஞ்சிட்டோம். ரோப்புனா அதுக்கு என்னென்னா அந்த மோட்டர் வாங்கணும், மோட்டரை வாங்கி கண்ட்ரோல் பண்ணணும். ஒவ்வொரு ஸ்டேஜ்லேயும் ஒரு ஃப்ளோர் வந்தோடனே நிறுத்துறதுக்கு ஏற்பாடு பண்ணணும். அந்த நிறுத்தும்போது ஃபைன் அட்ஜஸ்ட்மெண்ட்லாம் இருக்குது. அதோட கொஞ்சம் இன்வெஸ்ட்மெண்ட் அது கொஞ்சம் ஜாஸ்தியாக தான் இருக்கும்.
The elevator has been made differently than how a regular rope lift is constructed. The lift does not require heavy investment on machinery and uses simple technology to make it work.
Well, that's all we have for you from South Asia this evening. Now our viewers can watch the show on SouthAsiaNewsline.com. You can also visit us on Facebook.com/SAsiaNewsline and follow us on Twitter @SAsiaNewsline. That's all in tonight's edition. We will see you same time next week. Have a great weekend. Good night.